In this video, I'm going to be providing you with a walkthrough of the capacity planning functionality in Fullcast. This video is meant to be an introduction, and in future videos, we'll go into more detail on how this really works in the backend. So to start off with, you'll see that we're here in our Fullcast application, and the first place we're going to go is the Scenarios tab here at the upper left. When we enter into the scenarios, the first thing you'll notice is that we have a number of different folders we can go into. So you can create multiple scenarios to model things out. When we first open the scenario, what you'll see is what looks like a P&L statement. It's here because we really want to be a way for our customers as RevOps leaders to have a seat at the table in the bigger financial planning and goal-setting activities of your organizations. Rather than RevOps just taking a number from finance and rolling with it, we've got a way to let RevOps play a vital part of that conversation and goal setting, rather than just taking orders and trying to figure out how to make it happen. So the P&L has a lot of lines and a lot of parts, and we're not going to spend a lot of time on that right now, but I'll show you that you have a bottom line net contribution margin here for all of your go-to-market resources. Heading over into models, the first thing you'll see is a snapshot of all the models you've built with visualizations that can show current data. At the upper right Add Model menu, you'll see that we have multiple different models that we've got pre-built here in the app. What we're going to focus on today are two specific models, and I'm just going to give an introduction to what these models are. Again, we'll dive into specifics in future videos. The first model we're going to look at is carried quota. Your carried quota model is essentially street quota, as it's called in many organizations. This models out how much quota each rep needs to carry in order for the organization to hit its targets. This is really important to determine how the revenue targets are translated into quota, and most importantly, how many reps in each segment you'll need to achieve your targets while keeping your costs within limits. When we click Edit Model, we're able to examine the model configuration. We've got inputs here at the top and then outputs here at the bottom. The first input is attainment factor, which in this case, we've got 72%. We've input this manually into the model, but in another video, we'll look at all the different ways that you can set this up. Next, you have quota, and you can see here we've leveraged data from Fullcast to create a formula calculating this monthly quota per AE. The last input is new revenue required, and this is broken down by month. The new revenue projections for FY24 was actually calculated using another model here in Fullcast, which is the pipeline model. Now, moving down to the outputs, this is telling us how many people we need total each month and how much quota do these people have to be carrying in order to achieve our revenue goals. Now we're going to go back to the rest of the models, and what we're going to see now is the effective headcount model. So as we look at this again, we've got inputs and outputs. The first input is current headcount, which is actual headcount expressed as total heads per month. We've calculated this by taking our current headcount and factoring in the new hire ramp profile of all the ramping reps. Again, in a video where we look more at the configuration, you'll see the various ways that we can set up this input. The second input is role and ramp profile, which directly changes the output at the bottom here and allows you to use ramp profiles that you've established in the roles module of the app into this model. The third input is an attrition projection. Here, we've manually entered an annual attrition of 32 heads, which has been broken out into a monthly number. The fourth input is the TBR hire lead time, which is your average time to hire replacements. The fifth input is carried quota, which is the output of the model we just explored. So I'll actually jump over here to my other tab to show you that alignment between that model and this model. So this is where the carried quota model is being factored into this effective headcount model. At the very bottom here, we get our outputs, which is showing effective and actuals for TBH and TBR. Then in the last line, you see your projected effective headcount. So again, this was just a very quick introduction to the capacity planning functionality in Fullcast. We've got two key models, carried quota and effective headcount. And in other videos, you'll be able to see the details of how these models really work and how Fullcast is able to let you put these things together. But the big picture here is that Fullcast is streamlining capacity planning. We have these key models so that you can do top-down and bottom-up capacity planning, and everyone is using the same data to derive their projections. This is a stark contrast to doing this planning in disparate spreadsheets, where it can be very difficult to track what the original source of these numbers were and determine whether there's alignment of these numbers across your organization. This allows RevOps to really be a critical piece of the conversation, not only in trying to figure out how to make some goals happen, but in determining how realistic the goals are and understanding the nuanced details of the components of your go-to-market team that are required to hit your revenue goals. So stay tuned for more.